I'm Luke Summerhays, and I love Volbeat and Illumise. While the UK does have a species of firefly, the common glowworm, I don't have many memories of seeing them when I was younger. For most of my life, the idea of glowing bugs dancing in the night sky was a fantastical one, the stuff of storybooks and cartoons. Then, as in so many other ways, I started to believe in the magic when I was in Kyoto a few years back. Walking along the famous Philosopher's Path late at night, I saw their beautiful golden glow dancing before me. Fireflies are considered a quintessential symbol of summer in Japanese poetry and culture. Perhaps because of this season of summer loving, or perhaps because the males are only glowing like that to try to find a female to mate with, fireflies also represent romantic love. Volbeat is a male firefly. It has a blue face, a stripy tummy, and a big red collar. Blue wings flutter on its back, and big curly antennae protrude from its head. A black beetle carapace covers its back, apart from a little yellow tail. This tail, naturally, glows and flashes, resulting in two signature moves, Signal Beam and Tail Glow. The former is a damaging move with a slim chance to confuse, while the latter boosts special attack by 3 stages. Both moves have, like most signature moves, become more widespread among other monsters since Volbeat was introduced. Volbeat's own special attack is so minor that even boosting it by 3 it's not that useful, but by passing it along with a baton pass it can be part of a tactic. The Japanese name is Volbeat, combining a Japanese pronunciation of the word bulb, as in light bulb, and the beat from beetle. The English name similarly combines volt, as in electric voltage, with beetle. This led to me believing that Volbeat was a bug and electric type when I was younger, which I don't think was at all unreasonable. Illumise is a female firefly. This means her tail doesn't glow nearly as much, so she can't learn those 2 signature moves. Otherwise, her stats are identical to Volbeat's, with only the physical and special attack stats switched. Neither monster is particularly handy in battle, though with the prankster ability which lets them use non-damaging moves quickly, and the attack baton pass, they can fit into a team in a certain niche. Visually, Illumise doesn't look that different to Volbeat. She has bigger eyes and smaller antennae. What was a popped collar on Volbeat becomes a cute curled haircut on Illumise. The simple striped belly is replaced with a pattern like a waitress's apron, and the big glowing tail is replaced with a subtler pattern of spots in the same place. And the colours are a little bit different, of course. The name Illumise is the same in Japanese and English. The first part is of course from the word illuminate, although Illumise is not as illuminated as her male counterpart. The latter part comes from Ise, a coastal shrine town which is very important in Japanese Shinto religion. Yes, Ise does have fireflies, but that's not all. In the 11th century poetry collection, Tales of Ise, one famous story is of a prince who wanted to see the face of a beautiful maiden, and so released fireflies into her dark carriage to illuminate her. A very similar incident happens in The Tale of Genji, a literary work from the same period which is often considered to be the first novel in history. The version in The Tale of Genji is probably more famous, but the Tales of Ise are at least 100 years older. Otherwise this Pokemon might have been called Illumenji or something like that. Most of the Pokédex entries for both Volbeat and Illumise are simply exaggerated versions of real firefly behaviours. Pokemon Ruby tells us, "With the arrival of night, Volbeat emits light from its tail. It communicates with others by adjusting the intensity and flashing of its light. This Pokemon is attracted by the sweet aroma of Illumise. Illumise attracts a swarm of Volbeat using a sweet fragrance. Once the Volbeat have gathered, this Pokemon leads the lit-up swarm in drawing geometric designs on the canvas of the night sky." Pokemon Sapphire tells us, Volbeat's tail glows like a light bulb. With other Volbeat, it uses its tail to draw geometric shapes in the night sky. This Pokemon loves the sweet aroma given off by Illumise. Illumise leads a flight of illuminated Volbeat to draw signs in the night sky. This Pokemon is said to earn greater respect from its peers by composing more complex designs in the sky. And finally, Pokemon Emerald tells us, with their tail lights lit, Volbeat fly in a swarm, drawing geometric designs in the night sky. They move their nests if their pond water becomes dirty. Illumise is a nocturnal Pokemon that becomes active upon nightfall. It leads a Volbeat swarm to draw patterns in the night sky. Over 200 different patterns have been confirmed. Volbeat and Illumise are a little more anthropomorphic than many bug-based Pokemon. This is because they are also inspired by 1950s greaser culture. Volbeat could be wearing a leather jacket with a popped collar, if you squint. And its antennae could be representing a big elephant trunk hairstyle. Similarly, Illumise's waitress vibes could make her a Sandy to Volbeat's Danny. While today we look at this culture through the rose-tinted goggles of John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John's light-hearted romance, the early days of greaser culture developed from a seriously disillusioned post-war youth, and from earlier violent biker gangs. In Japan, there are rockabillys today who enjoy the aesthetic and music of greasers harmlessly enough. But the post-war years, right through to the 60s and 70s, saw tens of thousands of young men joining biker gangs called Bosozoku. These groups adopted the live fast, die young attitude and black leather aesthetic of their American counterparts, and made a menace of themselves on the roads. The origins can be traced back to young soldiers returning to Japan after defeat in World War II, and, with nothing else to live for, turning to the cheap thrills of fast bikes. As well as with love, fireflies have an association with war in Japan. Their long parades of bright lights in the summer evening call to mind the long march of an army, torches aloft. In mythology, the fireflies were thought to be the ghosts of the many warriors who died in the Genpei War, the 12th century civil war which saw the emperor's power moved to the hands of the samurai. To this day, ghosts in Japanese media are often depicted, either as, or surrounded by, floating balls of fire like will-o'-the-wisps. And much more recently, the tragedy of innocent victims of war was heart-wrenchingly portrayed in the Ghibli masterpiece, Grave of the Fireflies. Here is a Pokemon which combines two things, fireflies and grease, which seemingly only share one connection, a cheesy association with love stories. On a deeper level, though, they both represent the tragic aftermath of war, and the surprising friendship which developed between the two nations once on opposite sides of that war. In a way, Volbeat and Illumise represent the amazing achievement of the whole Pokemon franchise, which brought Japanese culture to Western youths in an unprecedented way. I mean, it's why I now live in Japan. Music for Luke Loves Pokemon was composed by Jonathan Cromie. Artwork for the show is by Katie Groves. Writing, editing and producing is all by me, Luke Summerhays, and costs are covered by my lovely supporters on Patreon. If you like this podcast, please rate and review on whatever podcast app you're listening through, and please tell your Pokemon-loving friends. The podcast can be found on Twitter and Facebook at LukeLovesPKMN, so why not get in touch? The next two monsters are Rosalia and Gulpin, so please get in touch with your thoughts about those or any other monsters. Lastly, as I mentioned, this podcast is supported by Patreon. If you want to listen to episodes early and help keep the show hosted online, visit patreon.com/podcastiopodcastius. And if you have an idea for something I could offer that would make you interested in signing up, Twitch streams, Q&As, videos or content on wider topics, please let me know. And even if you don't feel like doing any of that, thank you so much for listening. I love Volbeat and Illumise. And remember, I love you too.